Welcome, everyone. We're here live on our weekly simulcast broadcast with BOW Brokers Opens and Tours Worldwide and Florida Closing and Escrow with our expert attorneys, John Iwano and Anthony Bauza, experts in real estate, here to help you from contract to closing. And as many of you know, we're located in Sunny Isles, and I believe the only title company located in that area, but also mobile, remote, paperless, and wireless, conducting closings in the office, curbside is needed, and most locations as needed, including for buyers who are out of state or out of the country via online notarization at 1-800-FL-CLOSE, floridaclosing.com. So let's get started with some updates. So first of all, the mask mandate, I know, has been lifted, but local and state have, trumped the rules as far as part, and also foreign businesses, depending on if they want you to wear the mask or not. I know Publix, Walmart, Starbucks, Trader Joe's are not requiring masks. And I know there's also been a stimulus update. And Anthony, if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, so the CDC actually has issued some new guidance on masks for fully vaccinated individuals. So fully vaccinated people can resume activities without wearing a mask or physical distancing. Obviously, the exception to that is any requirements by federal, state, and local rules and regulations, and as well, private businesses have their own guidance that they follow. So the governor did suspend the emergency orders and limited the government's ability to impose the mask requirements. But as you said, yes, there are some private businesses who are still enforcing it. We're seeing some businesses beginning to adjust these policies. Some are making them optional. So good idea just to carry the mask around just in case when you get to the local business or wherever you're going into to see what they've updated it to. And then some other news as far as the federal eviction moratorium. As we know, that date was extended through June 30th. However, what we're seeing across states is that some landlords have actually begun to sue their tenants for unpaid rent. So usually landlords rely on the evictions proceedings, which are simpler and faster as a way to recover their lost rent. But because the eviction courts are not hearing cases right now, what we're seeing is civil cases being filed to sue the tenants for the amount of the unpaid rent for a monetary judgment. So this technically doesn't violate the moratorium because the eviction moratorium is a moratorium on exactly that, the eviction itself, but the money is still due by the tenants to the landlord. So some landlords are using this as a way, to create leverage and to push the tenants to move out as any judgment is going to be enforceable against that tenant, and then it'll have repercussions on their future ability to find new apartments as it will come up on a background check and affect their credit score.
And what about unemployment benefits? The extra $300 weekly, I believe, is going to end for 2 million
That
Americans.
Will end, correct. That also is set to end come September.
Okay.
So that there's no extension as of yet. It's unsure if that'll continue. But yes, everyone that is currently on unemployment and receiving the additional $300 federal benefit, that is set to end right before September at the end of August.
Okay, thank you. Now for some good news. South Florida real estate market continues to boom in 2021 with the growth steady in the residential market is part of an overall economic boom in South Florida, led by technical and venture capital companies moving here, benefiting from the lower cost of labor, lower cost of living expenses, and of course, lower taxes and the great weather. Florida, in fact, draws in the second highest number of immigrants right after Texas. And the 2020 census cited in the first quarter that Florida gained a net of 661 residents per day. And we're one of 34 states where internal immigration is positive. 16 states are losing population, primarily New York and California. In fact, in the first 4 months of this year, 8,174 Californians got a Florida driver's license. If the pace keeps up, they expect 24,000 Californians to move here by the end of the year. Some other highlights of good news is the president of live video chat purchased a waterfront home in Boca for $6 million. And this was from the previous, tripling from the previous sales price 3 years ago. Spec home developer Andrian Group bought a waterfront Miami Beach estate for $19 million in an off-market deal. U.S. Steel CEO sold at a record price in Pinecrest. And this was not waterfront. It was sold to a car dealer, Thomas Moorhead, for $9.8 million, which was 50% higher than the sales price 2 years ago. And this has set a new bar in the area. A waterfront mansion in Hillsborough Beach was purchased for $42.5 million, which is the highest priced home to date sold in Broward County. And that's an 11-bedroom estate in Playa Vista Isle. Okay. Some analysts expect an increase in inventory as more people get vaccinated and as stability returns. Home sellers who were deterred in 2020 will be more likely to list their homes now. And as we know, rents have increased substantially, and they cite Aventura, Hialeah, and Coral Gables as the places where they have soared the most. John, if you can add to some of the good news.
Yeah, adding to the good news is the millennials are a big part of this surge. Around 86% of younger millennials and 52% of older millennials are buying their first homes. And some are buying luxury properties that are well beyond what would be considered a starter home. So they're looking on the higher end of the market. Millennials will most likely drive the market through 2021. A survey from the National Association of Home Builders in the fourth quarter of 2020 found that 27% of millennial respondents plan to buy a home in the next 12 months. That's up from 19% the year before. So the reason we bring that up is since they are a big part of this boom, it would be a smart strategy to focus your advertising on that demographic. Also, online trends are growing. Online real estate services grew in functionality and popularity this past year. Things such as 3D home tours, virtual agent broker teleconferencing, and online closing helped by tools like DocuSign are all the ways that technology is facilitating a simpler home selling and buying experience. So regardless of the state of the pandemic, the convenience afforded by online real estate technology is here to stay. So just make sure that you're up to date on all these technologies and you offer them to your clients.
Okay, thank you. Next is directed to Anthony. Pulling out the stops in a tight market, how to be prepared and what extreme measures you suggest due to bidding wars. And in fact, 75% of offers face competition per Redfin data in April, and that was actually 80% in Salt Lake City, Boise, and Spokane. So tell us what you recommend.
Yeah, so a CNN business report actually said that buyers are going to extreme lengths. Some of them are so desperate as they're waiving appraisals and inspections, but all of that comes with a huge risk that could cost them thousands of dollars. Many buyers are automatically offering prices well above list price and agreeing to pay the difference in cash. We've heard other stories of potential buyers offering gifts to sellers. But this, more so than anything, underscores how difficult actually it is to find a home these days. Reuters reports that US home sales sank to a 7-month low in March amid the shortage of properties. Existing home sales dipped 3.7% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 6.01 million units, which is the lowest level since August of last year, and it came in lower than economists' expectations of 6.19 million units. So finding the right home in this kind of market it's important to do everything that you can to maximize your chance of successes. Some of the tips include getting pre-underwritten. So at a minimum, you want a mortgage pre-approval. That's going to be necessary at this point. But if you could get it pre-underwritten, that'll be even stronger, and it'll help a buyer stand out from the crowd. Doing the legwork for the underwriting is obviously more substantial compared to a pre-approval, but it's all things that will need to be done to finalize the loan anyway. So underwriting will give confidence to the seller in the budget and the ability of the funding to actually come through. And this goes hand in hand with the next tip, which is make it easier for the seller. When there's multiple offers on the table, it's very important to send a strong offer and basically make it easier for them to consider their options when choosing your offer. And with that offer, make sure it's the strongest offer. Start with your strongest offer. Even with the unprecedented levels of competition, some buyers are still tempted to test how low they can go. Instead of testing that bottom, assume that the seller won't counter and that they'll move on to the next offer. That's the mindset that many house hunters have adopted in this market, where the inventory is so low and the new homes supply is plummeting. Also, look for homes under your budget so that you have financial flexibility to bid up. Also, if you're borrowing for a down payment, and you're receiving money for a gift, also give yourself extra time to make sure you're going to be able to comply with mortgage lender requirements. Usually gifts that you're going to be receiving, they have requirements referred to as seasoning, which is basically how long those funds have been into your account. So if you're anticipating getting a gift for the down payment from a family member, mother, father, things like that, make sure that money's already in your account, so we're not adding in extra time for that loan process. Also, some other quick tips is don't fall in love with just one home. Don't focus exclusively on the price when negotiating. Focus on other contingencies that you can offer to the seller to make it more convenient for them. Expand your search beyond one ideal neighborhood. And lastly, and most importantly, patience. In a normal real estate market, it could take maybe a couple of weeks to find the right home, but in this seller's market, it could easily take 3 months or more. So patience is definitely needed for this kind of market.
Right. And of course, cash. Cash is always king.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony. And John, next question. What is some advice you can give about real estate investing?
The biggest mistakes people make when it comes to real estate investing is not running the numbers. You got to make sure that there's enough left over after all the numbers are run for a decent return on investment. So what are the numbers? There are the real estate taxes. If you're a part of an association, the association dues, utilities, carrying costs, like that. Number two is, as Anthony just mentioned, don't fall in love with the property. There will be others that are just as great, so if the numbers don't work, don't buy it. And number three is not having a large reserve fund or being able to cash flow things like the mortgage payments or repairs that come up. if COVID taught us anything, it's that investors need to be well funded and have emergency funds for these types of situations. There are also some rules when it comes to choosing an investment property. Number one is have multiple exit strategies. The market can change in a split second. Your sale can fall through at the last minute, so be prepared for anything and be able to pivot with circumstances out of your control. Number two is if the property doesn't have more than one way to make money, then it isn't a great investment. You should consider something else. And number three is don't buy weird, unique, or unusual for investments. Suggestions are to buy normal, traditional, interesting, but ordinary.
Okay, thank you very much. And Anthony, okay, Florida actually was the #1 destination for relocating per move.org in 2020. So also, as mentioned, I believe 329,717 new residents moved here between April 20th to 21. If you can tell us some details about how much it will cost to live in Florida once people have relocated here.
Right. So Florida looks to be the #1 destination for relocating Americans. And moving to Florida could help you save money. It could also cost more. It depends where you're coming from and whether you're in the market to rent or an apartment or buy a home. According to Apartments Guide, their rent report shows that the national average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,561. To put that in comparison, in Florida, in Daytona Beach, the typical rent starts at about $1,187 a month. In Orlando, you can expect to pay about $1,400 a month. And in terms of purchasing, the statewide median home value is $277,000, according to a report from Zillow, and it's only slightly higher than the national median of $276,700. But as always, it depends on what kind of property that you're specifically looking for. For example, in Palm Beach, a typical home value there is about $1.25 million. In terms of saving money, definitely the biggest thing is taxes in the state of Florida. So the state of Florida is only one of a handful of states that does not have a state income tax. A 2020 National Association of Realtors analysis found that nearly 28% of the people who are coming to Florida came from Texas, another 15% from New York, and over 6% from California. And all of these are coming from places with a state income tax, and they're coming into Florida without one. So there's definitely some cost savings in there. In addition, residents also get a deal on home ownership. Effectively, it works out to about 1% of property taxes here in Florida, whereas other popular states pay more than 2%, with New Jersey having the highest rate at 2.47%. So definitely the lack of an income tax and the lower property taxes are a big draw for many folks. A lot of them are people who visited during the pandemic, leaving their high cost areas, and now they're deciding it's a place where they can settle down, not only for the financial benefits, but you can't really beat the Florida weather. In addition to the people coming into Florida, there is a move.org report that said that it was also, in addition to being the state ranked as people coming in, it was
Okay. Did we lose Anthony?
finding.
Okay.
Oh, so the move.org report said that Florida is also the 4th most abandoned state. So findings from the moving company Atlas Van Lines show that 50% of the state's total moves last year were people entering versus exiting. To put that in comparison, a state like Idaho had 66% inbound moves. So there's no denying that in Florida, it's a place that people want to be, even if some residents are moving on. A LinkedIn analysis of zip code changes basically showed that for every one person that left Tampa, for example, another 1.47 came in. The same was true of Jacksonville, which is another big city here in Florida. So Florida's popularity isn't expected to drop anytime soon. It's actually expected to gain an average of 845 new residents per day until at least 2025, according to the state's own internal projections. This growth could make it pricier to move in the near term, with home values in Florida going up 10% in the past year. They could likely increase up to another 8%, according to a report from Zillow. But that's not just specific to Florida. Nationally, everything's going up too. So nearly 9 million have relocated in 2020 alone. More are packing up and getting ready to come here. It's not easy, but preparation is key, and there's definitely some cost-saving advantages in addition to the great weather.
Okay, thank you. And you can geo-target zip codes of your choice and get more qualified leads and amplify your ads to multiple channels through a new tool that's going to be launching soon. And it's smart digital advertising with proven AI technology to increase revenue without lifting a finger. So I just wanted to mention that as one of the tools that we have, and that's going to be launching within the next month. So please stay tuned. And John, if you want to add anything for our last question, any technology or anything else to increase.
Yeah, staying on top of social media is important for any business, but especially in the real estate market. There are countless reasons to engage your clients and audiences on various social media platforms, mainly to stay relevant, creative, and innovative. Video streaming is great, and it's also here to stay in the long term. So there's some ways you can leverage live streaming and incorporate that into your real estate business. Number one is open houses, and Cine's is a great resource for that. An obvious method of using live streaming videos to set up a virtual open house for your clients who may be unavailable to attend the open house or living remotely. Schedule a time for viewers to tune in and watch you as you walk around the property with your phone. Take the time to explain and talk about each room as well as answer any questions clients send in, and being on a live stream is perfect for answering questions. Not only will you be able to reach more prospective buyers, but you'll also be able to interest potential buyers by building an online presence and friendly rapport with them. Number two is video do-it-yourself home projects. A home requires a lot of maintenance, so you can help out your past and maybe your future clients by showing them how to do some home projects. Examples could range from how to weatherproof windows to how to patch up a drywall. So viewers will enjoy watching you do these things, and that could also help them as well. Number three is, and this is a pretty interesting one, host a realtor question and answer session. Homeowners, prospective homeowners, renters, and landlords all have a lot of real estate questions. So you, as an expert in the industry, if you live stream, can share your knowledge with them. Hosting an answer, question and answer period is one of the best platforms you can use. It's also great for anyone who is just entering the market and interested in learning more from you who has the expert knowledge in this area. And then number four is consumer home shows are nice to go to, but nowadays people are a little bit hesitant. So what you can do is you can stream or video from these home and garden shows. If they're really long, maybe you can edit them and you can share those with your clients as well.
Okay. And knowledge is power, as they say, and it's good to educate your clients and be on top of the technology. As we have always said, it's again, good to do the live broadcast, open tours, open houses. We set them up as events, and you can live stream from there. And we also recommend the 3D tours and other technology that you could contact me about. So thank you for joining today. And we will have one more broadcast next week before the holiday, before Memorial Day. And in the meantime, everybody stay safe and happy and successful and healthy. Anyone want to add anything?
The Florida Panthers play Game 3 tonight for hockey, so
Right.
Panthers.
Go Panthers. Yes, good. And the Heat, right, are still in the playoff? Am I right?
Their playoff series starts this weekend, yes.
Okay, there you go. All right. So both our teams are in the playoffs. That's pretty good. All right, great. We thank everyone for joining us, and to more closings ahead. Thanks again.